All right, Chad. We're here. We're ready, bro. You ready?
Yeah.
All right, man.
Well, how we
Are you ready?
How we doing?
Are you ready? Let's get it on.
I think I like when Trey kicks it off. So.
All right, you want me to
Okay.
go? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are after a much long anticipated break.
It's been a while.
It's been a while. We're 2 months out, so we're just getting back in the groove. We've got a new special guest here tonight, the one and only teen sensation Drew Haskins here tonight, here to give us some knowledge about a couple different topics that we'll dive into. So we're glad to be back, and we're glad to be smoking some stoves and drinking some liquid death. So,
What are we smoking?
Chad, what you smoking?
All
bro?
right, so I'm smoking the Vieja or the Vieja, depending on where you're from. It's the honey. Let's see, the honey. Is it? Just honey hand grenade. Vieja. It's a little spicy.
Nice. Am I on the same brand as you, bro?
That's a killer. I don't know. That's a killer
Okay.
bee.
All right, I'm smoking the Killer Bee Connecticut.
Yeah, Connecticut.
Nice.
And we're going to see what she's talking about.
Yeah.
I almost got upsell to the Killer Bee Connecticut,
Oh yeah.
but I went with the T, Estelle, still Connecticut.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Smoking something new, Wildfire. I don't know what it is, but it's called the Revivalist.
Man, Smokey the Bear over there.
Yeah.
Wildfire, dude.
Yes,
Dude.
sir.
Official sponsor of Osbury.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the Revivalist.
Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. Is that still going
I'll
on?
get a torch.
No,
I
that's-
don't know. I mean,
All right, well, just to kick us off here, we are here in the greater Nashville area in Gallatin, Tennessee, here at Smokers Abbey.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out the Abbey and all the folks here hooking us up.
Yeah.
But with that being said, our city was struck with tragedy today. A very, national broadcasted tragedy. And so before we get started, I think it's only right that we just lift up our city and the families affected by the shooting that happened in Green Hills today.
Mm-hmm.
And we just lift them up and just ask that God be with the families. And we'll go from there. So I'll pray for us and then we'll get started.
sounds good.
Dear God, we to some extent understand that we live in a fallen, broken world, and sometimes, we can't really articulate the weight of that. And this is just the aftermath of the fall, and we just ask that, though none of it makes sense, that you would just be with specifically the people of the church/school that was affected, but just with any and everyone who feels like they have lost something. And I know as a person who firsthand experienced a child to gun violence, it's not something that's mended overnight. It's a long, nasty process. But I believe that in every tragedy, there is a way back to you, a way that we can be drawn closer to you and we can learn more about you and who you are. And so I would just pray that primarily the people affected, they would look to you, they would get their strength from you. They may not get answers from you, but because you did come and live with us and suffer with us, you went to the cross and paid for our sins, that fortunately in eternity we will all get to rejoice and live together, and that's the only hope that we do have. And that always doesn't heal broken hearts, but we understand that that is our ultimate reality. And so would you use that to strengthen us, strengthen our faith? And I just want to just pray your spirit over the families that were affected, and just pray for Nashville. We thank you for the first responders who acted so quickly and were able to mitigate any more damage and destruction that was planned. We just thank you for them. We thank you for everyone that is going to surround these families. We thank you for the city that we live in and for all the amazing people. I know that you're present in this area, and that I know that you will only make yourself more known through this situation. So, Lord, we just thank you for who you are. Thank you for your Son, and we thank you for the cross. Just name and pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so to kick us off, Drew, why don't you just introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background about who you are, what's going on in your life, and then take us through kind of your faith journey, and then we'll kind of just get going from there.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me today. This is my second cigar ever.
Right on.
So I'm very thankful
Super
to
cool.
share this with you. My name is Drew Haskins. I currently, as of March 27th, 2023, I'm an elder at the Movement Church here in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And I'm glad to be here. As far as my background goes, as far as what led me to here, I grew up actually going to church, which is my grandmother's church, which is significant. That was very instrumental in providing me a background. Went away from the church for a while, but through the church, I had met my wife, who I've been married to for going on 10 years now.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So,
Congratulations.
thank you.
Yeah.
And
That's as of what date?
that's as 10 years as of March 27, 2023.
There you go. Okay.
No,
Wow.
not our anniversary. Our anniversary is June 23rd, 2012. So it'll be 11 years this year.
It's awesome.
Yeah. So, 3 wonderful kids from that relationship, but it was through my wife and really through my mother-in-law that we started attending church again. I heard an evangelist named Clayton King out of North Carolina. If you are listening, thank you very much for preaching that day on Luke chapter 24, when Jesus confronted the disciples on the Emmaus Road and said, "Did not our hearts burn when he opened to us the scriptures?" And it was at that moment I had realized that everything that I was living for, that I was living in a world that wasn't mine. That it was Jesus' world. It's him who runs it. It's him who is the king. It was made by him. And I was convicted, and really from that day on kind of rededicated my life. And then ultimately led to me going to the Movement Church, just to find a church closer to home.
Yeah.
And at that time, we were looking for really just a faithful church closer to home. It took us 3 months of going to a different church every week to find one. And the first Sunday that we went to the Movement Church, I resisted because it was a storefront church. For some reason, I had an internal bias about storefront churches. But Daniel Johnson, who is the pastor at the Movement Church, he got up and he preached the gospel. And
Nice.
and I told him that first day, I said, "I'm thankful that you preached the gospel."
Yep.
And so 5+ years later, I'm glad to still be part of that church.
Yep.
And very thankful to be here today. I got to meet you. I got to meet all of you through that church.
Yeah.
So I'm very thankful for it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, storefront churches definitely are get a bad rap. So reasonably so.
Especially the ones with curtains in front of the windows.
Yeah, I would say.
Right.
You know who you are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't put curtains in the windows, bro. Put shades like regular people. Okay, so a little background story that most people don't know about me and Drew is I have a relative. He's since passed away. His name's TJ Weatherby.
Yes.
Shout out Preston, his son, if you're listening.
Yes.
Kevin,
Love
Kevin
you.
and Cody.
Cody, love you.
The boys. So their dad, TJ, is what I would consider a Middle Tennessee wrestling legend. And long time ago,
Wow, boys.
the Wild Boys, they started a they started a wrestling ring called the Sawmill, Southern All-Star Wrestling in Millersville, Tennessee. Those being my cousins. Every Friday night we would go. And there was a young man by the name of Teen Sensation who would come down to the ring to the likes of Donna Summer, and he would wrestle in pink tights. And I etched that into my brain as a child. And then my first Sunday at TMC, there's this guy walking around, and I call my cousin, I'm like, hey, do you remember that guy, Teen Sensation, from the Sawmill? And he's like, yeah, Drew Haskins. I'm like, okay, that's his name, right? I look up on Facebook, I'm like, oh my God, that guy goes to my church now. Come to find out, I call him back the next time. I'm like, not only does this man go to our church, he's an elder at our church. So, needless to say, me and Drew go way, way back.
Yes, we do.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. No, that's that's where I started training to be a pro wrestler.
At the Sawmill.
At the Sawmill in Millersville, Tennessee, formerly known as the Bakery before it was the Sawmill.
Mm-hmm.
And very thankful for TJ, thankful for Kevin, and Cody, and Blake, and everybody, and very thankful.
Those are good memories, man.
Great memories.
That will last forever.
Yes.
Man, if you
I had my first match and my last match there.
Really?
Nice.
Who was your last match against?
My last match, which is against the human action figure. Oh, was it Ali? No.
What
Who
is his
is
name?
it? Brother, I love you. I'm going to look you up and know that I love you.
So wait, who was your toughest matchup ever against?
At the Sawmill?
At the Sawmill.
At the Sawmill, brother. Probably Kevin, but there's an inside story to that one.
Did you ever have to face Eric Andrews? Shout out Eric Andrews, man.
You know, if we did, it was just one time.
It was an ongoing feud.
No, we never did because, we just never crossed paths.
Never crossed him.
I wrestled Hammerjack early on.
Man, that guy.
Rick Santel.
Rick Santel.
Oh my God, it's Rick Santel! Always against Paul Adams.
Paul
R.I.P.
Adams.
I love you,
R.I.P.
Paul. Tagged a lot with Derek King.
Yep.
He's my brother. Tagged a lot with Jeremiah. He's my brother. Chris Michaels, Chase Stevens.
Oh
Those guys are
man,
great.
Chase Stevens was a legend.
Yes.
Funny story about Chase Stevens is
You invited him to your bachelor party.
no, that would have been a good time. So Chase Stevens was fighting in a tag team match one night at the Sawmill, and if you ever went to the Sawmill, the crowd was a collection of people, almost like the walls of Jericho fell, and just everyone of all nations are just there, right?
Right. The Babylon.
Yeah, and so
Babel.
all these
Tower
different walks of life are there, and there's this woman, and she's just giving Chase Stevens the rundown from the. And the only thing that separated the wrestlers and the fans was a little bit of yellow rope. I mean, literally the size of this cigar.
Was it a police caution?
And she takes a fully loaded Coke can and she chucks it right at the back of his head.
Oh my goodness.
And he jumps
Exploded?
down.
Did it explode?
Exploded.
Yes.
He jumped down and slapped the mess out of her, dude. And then her boyfriend jumps in and he slapped the mess out of him. And they didn't never say anything else to him ever again. And he hopped right back up, tagged in, and kept fighting.
Chase Stevens, maybe.
A legend.
He's often people love him, but when he is in a bad mood, he's probably one of the best
Oh, yeah.
out there. Him and Kid Cash are
Yep.
probably one of the best bad guys in wrestling I've ever seen in person.
Agreed.
It's them too.
Chase Stevens gave me big Randy Orton vibes. Do you get that?
No. Chase Stevens is way more outspoken than Randy Orton.
Okay, that's true. That's true. That's true.
Yeah. So.
Just like the
And
kind
bigger.
of, just like the
Chase is way more swollen.
like the aura of like this like untouchable kind of like jockey bad guy who
I get that.
you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Not so much how they carry themselves, so much in the ring, but just as they're walking out, you kind of get this like, oh, I don't want to mess with that guy.
No, you don't want to.
So
And you got anybody who you can stand on the top rope and that guy can drop kick you while you're standing on top rope, don't want to mess with.
Yep.
Oh,
That's just
man.
yeah.
Drew, do you have a signature move?
I do. I have Katy Perry's favorite finisher.
Did
What
you?
is it?
It is. So
Okay. Can you demonstrate it real quick?
no,
on
I
Mark?
cannot. No.
Yeah. I volunteer.
no, EMT has had a rough day today. So
That's,
Oh, yeah, right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Did you watch wrestling?
I didn't really watch it growing up. Yeah.
Are you aware of a move called the Diamond Cutter?
No.
Oh my goodness.
the V cutter.
The V Cutter?
The
Yeah.
V cutter. I mean,
You do this,
yeah.
but instead I fall with you. So I
Okay.
V cut you myself.
Okay, okay.
He hit you.
Yes.
He V-cut you.
Okay. Yeah.
Man, if you didn't watch wrestling growing up, if you're out there and you didn't, you missed out on the most amazing childhood experience of all time. And
Yeah.
that's
Still-
facts.
I've never watched one match of wrestling in my
You're
life.
missing out. You're really missing
gotta
out.
wa-
Sorry.
Maybe we can have a WrestleMania watch party.
We need to.
Yeah,
Lounge
I feel
party.
like
We
Yeah.
need to.
Yeah.
We
Will
really
there
need
be- will there
to.
be
We need a
food?
good classic. One of the greatest all right, I'm going to give you my top 2 favorite WrestleMania matches of all time. Then you give me yours.
Okay.
Sorry, you guys are out on
All
this,
right.
and that's your own. That's your own doing.
It's my fault, yeah.
It's okay.
So number 1, oh man, number 1, it was a clash, tag team clash. No, maybe that wasn't wrestling. It was the Hardy Boys versus
Okay.
Edge
Yeah.
and Christian, and there was a one
do
more
like
tag
Edge.
team.
Was it the Dudleys?
Yeah,
I
it was
really
the
do.
Dudleys.
Nice.
Yeah.
And Jeff Hardy is hanging on to the belt,
To the edge.
Yes.
and Edge is on the ladder, and he jumps from the ladder and spears Jeff Hardy
Yeah.
Yes.
from the top of the, hanging 20 feet above the ring. Bam! And they
Great.
slam onto the mat.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is my favorite WrestleMania moment of all time. Second, what I think might be the best match of all time is like WrestleMania, maybe 19, 20 years, Triple H versus The Undertaker, where they go out into the stands and they're fighting in the stands.
So that wasn't the Hell in Cell.
No, it wasn't the Hell in the Cell.
Okay.
This was another one.
Okay.
This is when they are just no holds barred and they go out into the stands. And The Undertaker choke slams Triple H. They're standing on the camera barrier and he picks them up and he choke slams them down into the crowd.
Dude.
Top 2 WrestleMania matches that I've ever watched.
Yeah.
Top 2 WrestleMania matches for me. One sentimental is the WrestleMania 20. It's Chris Benoit, Triple H, Shawn Michaels. Maybe the best WrestleMania main event of all time. Classic, no outside interference, great finish to the match. Second one, I don't know why this came to mind, but it really is great. And I just watched it not too long ago. Is an opener to WrestleMania is Bret Hart versus Owen Hart, brother versus brother, where Owen Hart rolls up, Bret Hart wins the match clean. He comes out and says, "I beat you, Bret," and he's the younger brother. We all know it's like when you're the younger brother and you get the comeuppance on the older brother.
Oh, yeah.
And the older brother goes out after losing that match, goes out and wins the title at the main event, and it's like can't do nothing right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
So,
now, for argument's sake, not your favorite, but the best wrestler of all time. Not your favorite, but the best, pound for pound.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
No, dude, that's what every
He's the Scorpion King, dude.
Dude.
that's what every
I like how he
non-wrestler
went.
says.
Yeah.
Non-wrestling fan says.
Yes, best wrestler pound for pound.
Pound for pound.
Pound for pound, cheese and rice. Honorable mention: Rey Mysterio going to the Hall of
Oh,
Fame
dude,
this
I was
year.
going to say Rey Mysterio
I mean,
I'd
as,
say
as,
Spider-Man.
as an honorable mention.
yeah. I mean, he is fantastic.
He is, man.
such a great guy.
He was
in
actually the
person.
human spider when he was a wrestler.
That's
I mean,
right.
it's
Became
so
Spider-Man.
hard to argue. Like,
He would have
know,
been canceled.
You don't want to like John Cena, but you love John Cena.
That's true.
He's fantastic.
He is.
Steve
Yeah.
Austin, Stone Cold is the best.
All right, but who had the best acting career?
Who had the best acting career?
Career.
After
It might be Dave Batista.
Yes,
In terms of character acting.
Guardians
Yeah.
of the Galaxy,
Yeah,
Glass Onion. Dude, he's
I haven't
Yeah.
seen it.
oh, bro.
Glass Onion is great.
Oh,
Yeah.
Glass
Did
Onion.
you
You
watch-
gotta see
Well, I
Glass
haven't
Onion.
seen Knives Out yet, so.
Oh,
He's
okay.
also in the new
Watch Knives Out.
The new
Watch Glass
M. Night
Onion.
Shyamalan.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes, dude.
Yeah, it might be Dave Bautista.
I would definitely agree.
The
Yeah.
Rock,
Nah.
he's the July box office.
Yeah.
Here comes the aliens.
Black Adam.
Who's gonna meet the aliens?
Yeah.
It's Dwayne the Rock
Yeah,
Johnson.
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
right.
So-
Yeah, or in like
But
some kind
Batista-
of like tan safari
Edge
outfit.
was in a movie called Money Plane, which is one of the wildest movies you'll ever watch.
Really? I didn't
And it's
know
only
that.
like like 80 minutes long.
Wow.
Too. Or like 70 minutes long. But
John
it's-
Cena has a movie, The Marine.
He has a few movies.
The
Yeah.
Miz has a movie.
He's always
the
like the
Marine
military
too.
guy.
The Marine too, he does.
Yeah.
And people don't know this. Kane has a movie called
Yes.
See No Evil, and it's creepy. It's really well done.
Yes.
Shout out WWE Films.
What
So-
about Roddy Piper with the movie he had back in the
what
day?
movie was it?
I can't remember. Because now I mentioned Roddy Piper, I'm thinking of Hulk Hogan, Thunder in Paradise.
Yeah, and Andre
Ninja
the
Turtles
Giant.
3.
Andre the Giant was in a movie.
Yeah.
Yes, Princess
Princess
Bride.
Bride. Yeah.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
a legendary movie.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
Lots of wrestlers end up having fantastic acting careers.
I
Just
agree.
put that up there.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would say if we're talking the GOAT and kind of in a league of his own, Tom Brady-esque type WWE has got to be Stone Cold. I feel like he's in a league of his own, in my opinion. But I would say pound for pound the best wrestler, not Rey Mysterio. I think it's Jeff Hardy. You don't like Jeff Hardy?
Oh.
He's so controversial. He is so popular. People love Jeff Hardy, and I totally get it. But I think there are other choices that I would put above Jeff.
Okay.
Steve Hardy.
Like,
Yeah, Steve Hardy.
Yeah. Steve Hardy.
Like, all right, give me one.
Yeah.
Give me one more. So you said Rey Mysterio.
who would I put above
Okay.
Jeff?
Yeah.
Pound for pound better, Eddie Guerrero.
Okay. Okay. All right. Actually, I take that back. Jeff Hardy. I have an affinity for him. Pound for pound. Maybe Shawn Michaels.
Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, Ric Flair, Lou Thez, Nick Bockwinkel, Jerry Lawler, Dusty
many.
Rhodes. I put Sting above. Sting is the first wrestler I ever remember watching. I remember going downstairs, it was at my grandma's basement, and my Uncle Donnie was watching back then WCW. And I remember Sting back when he had bleached blonde hair.
Yep,
And
yep.
blue and
Blue,
red
yep,
face
yep,
paint. Just
yep.
jumping across, doing the Stinger splash.
It's a tradition.
And I just remember going, that. Whatever that is, that.
Chad, I want you to, if you can, clip in. It's a great GIF of Sting. He's in the ring, and you can look it up. He has a Sting mask on, and he takes the Sting mask on, and his face looks just like the mask.
I love that.
Put that in.
I've seen that.
But either way, so many just legends out there, man.
Yes, there is.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Man, way better than any other sport of its time. Early 90s and 2000s, there was no greater sport on earth. I agree. I would argue that to the day I die.
Yeah.
Croquet.
No, nothing. Football, baseball, nothing come close. It took the world by storm.
Yep, it did.
So,
Dude, so, okay, changing gears just a little bit. You told me something yesterday that absolutely blew my mind about something that happened to you when you were...
yeah, go ahead.
Well, I want you to say it, but just listen to him say this and I mean, the fact that you are like alive.
Yeah. So I'll
is
tell you this story.
insane.
So I was a resilient child, and I was living in White House, Tennessee at the time. I was in first grade. I was like 6 years old, and my mom and dad lived at the bottom of a Tyree court here up in White House, and my mom would drive. The hill was super steep, so she would just drive me up at the top, and then she would sit at the truck and wait for me to get onto the bus. And the way that the bus came, the bus would come up Winding Way and park on the other side of the road, throw their stop sign out, and then, when the bus got there, I would walk across the street to get to the bus, right?
Right.
So it's a foggy morning, 6 a.m., it's dusk. The bus stop, is up. She's got her stop sign on and her flashers. I get out of the truck, get my backpack on, 6 years old, walking across, and Winding Way, now you can imagine, right? A green Taurus comes flying around the corner, going about 35 miles per hour. Boom! Hits me.
What?
I go flying up. I don't go out or go under. I go up into the air. Swear. I go up into the air, land on the woman's half windshield, half hood of the car. Bam! Roll up.
Crack the windshield?
I don't know.
Okay.
I roll
He's
off.
6 years old.
Six.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say probably not.
I roll off the car.
But he was resilient though.
Yeah.
And I'm like, phew. I hop up, right? My mom comes running out there clearly because she's just sitting in the truck and she was sitting in a Dodge Ram, so sitting on the hill. So all she sees is a little child go boom. So she runs out of the truck. She goes and checks on me, makes sure she's good. She walks me over, sits me in the truck. She goes and handles the business with the lady. What are you doing? What, have you lost your mind? Gets insurance, all that. She comes back. I'm just chilling at this point. She comes back to the truck. She's like, hey, is everything okay? Are you good? I'm like, Mom, I'm straight. But time has elapsed. I need to get on the bus so I can get to school. And she's like, honey, you can't go to school. You just got hit by a car. You have to go to the hospital. I then start crying. And I was like, I'm bawling. I'm like, Mom, please don't make me go to the hospital. I hate doctors. They're going to have to, do whatever. And she was like, no, son, you have to go to the hospital. So we told the bus lady to go on, and she took me to the hospital, and I was fine.
Yeah.
That's wild. That's what we call a miracle.
It seems like it was too casual. Like, everyone was just too casual.
It really was super casual. I swear, you can ask my mom. It was very just like a normal another day.
Just go do like, hey son, are you okay?
Yeah. I decided to hear that story again because yeah.
It really happened, dude. It really, really happened.
Man,
I was hit by a car.
Well, I'm glad you came out okay.
Yeah, seriously.
you were ready to go to school after that.
I was.
So I take you over the car in a wrestling match.
You should.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And I went to school the next day, and it was talk of the town.
Yeah, I bet.
I mean, I just got hit by a car and
Do you
kept
think
going.
that the woman got arrested or something?
No, she definitely just had to pay for the hospital visit.
Hey, video or it didn't happen?
I got slammed on a car during a wrestling match.
Yeah.
Adam Gooch in, I think, Carmi, Illinois. Either backdropped me, suplexed me, body slammed me, something.
Yeah.
On the hood of a wrestling car, just some random car.
Wow.
Parking lot.
Oh, okay.
We went back in the ring. We're like, we go back in the ring. We're done with that.
He was just taken from that whole mindset of, all right, I got hit, time to move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
It's all just very rudimentary. Like, this is just how it is.
Yeah. No big deal.
Well,
Man.
All right. Well,
crazy.
The main reason we're here tonight is to discuss some theological topics.
Okay.
So Drew is, you'll find out by the end of the night that Drew's very well seasoned when it comes to knowledge as it comes to Christianity and the history of it. So first off, this will kind of lead us into our second topic. You obviously have to mention one of them, but give us kind of we'll just say for tonight's sake, the Mount Rushmore, other than Jesus, of Christian historians who have kind of shaped our faith as we know it today, that aren't in the Bible. So, minus Peter, minus Paul, some guys who have been champions of the faith that have helped carry the scriptures up until today's time.
Okay. Yeah, I would. Mount Rushmore, you have to mention Luther.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
You have to mention Augustine.
Oh, yeah.
You have to mention, I'd want to put Gregory Nazianzus, lesser known, but I think is so much more crucial in understanding the doctrine of the Trinity that we have today. And at that point, you want to put Athanasius. Aquinas, you could throw in too.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think they're just essential. Yeah, it has to be one of those four. I think we have to fill it out. So, Augustine, Gregory of Nazianzus, Athanasius, Luther.
An honorable mention?
I feel like honorable Athanasius.
No, you already said Athanasius. You've got Aquinas.
Aquinas.
Thomas Aquinas.
Yeah.
Will be your
those
honorable
five.
mention.
Those five.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. That's solid.
Okay, so give us a quick rundown of, as far as you know it, of kind of who they are, just quick biopic about each one.
Yeah, so I'll start with Augustine. Augustine is crucial for Western Christianity. Christianity really is divided between the East and West based on language. So for Western Christianity is Latin speaking. Yeah. Augustine himself was not he didn't prefer the Greek language. He really loved Latin, especially going into his unconverted life. He really enjoyed the Latin language, and that was crucial for him. Excuse me. So in terms of his thought, I mean, everything from the Donatist controversy to understanding, well, really just his biography itself.
Is a phenomenal.
The Confessions is phenomenal. To understanding your own life. You know yourself better reading Augustine's Confessions. The Donatist controversy, in terms of what is a true church. Can Christians fall? Can Christians falter? And if so, do the ministers falter? And if they fall, what good is your faith because your ministers fall? Augustine is so crucial. The Pelagian controversy. Can we really do what is within us to merit salvation? Augustine would say, no, there is grace that is required. The city of God. What do you do when the kingdom that you are so tethered to collapses, with that being ancient Rome and the city of God, and it falls, and now you're going, well, what are we? And Augustine went back to really the Jews in Babylon in terms of that we are in the midst of a larger group, but the midst that we are in, this really invisible body that he would say is the true church, and that we are living in a fallen world and here to minister to a fallen world. Gregory of Nazianzus, I think, is much better on the Trinity. Just to know the little sentence that Gregory of Nazianzus used, I think it's in his 31st oration, is that which he, being Jesus, has not assumed, he has not healed. And that helps us to understand that Jesus is truly human in every possible way, from the body to the mind to the will. Everything that we have as a human, Jesus had and redeemed in his life and work. I think is crucial for understanding. Athanasius, who was the forerunner of these men, really helped set the stage and to defend against what is the Christian life. I would think Augustine supersedes Athanasius in terms of what is the better life. Athanasius wrote a book famously on the life of St. Anthony, which is crucial to Augustine's life. But Augustine's Confessions, I think, is a way better read than the life of St. Anthony. But Athanasius himself stood truly contra mundum. He was exiled 5 times.
Oh, wow.
From his ministry. And this was a man who was a pastor. He was a bishop first, or excuse me, he was a deacon first, and then became a pastor to the point to where when his church was being confronted by the soldiers to bring this man into exile, the church hid him away to be able to keep on with the ministry he had. And it's just such a wonderful life. Wrote on the incarnation and talked about the significance of Jesus. When we think of the incarnation, we think about Jesus being born in the flesh like one of us. His view of the incarnation really said the main focus here is that we know God through Jesus taking on flesh. It's much more than we know who he is. Aquinas, I'll go in chronological. Aquinas just carries on that tradition and really systematizes the best of that thought in terms of we need grace. Who is Jesus to redeem? When you read Aquinas' Summa Theologica, it starts about why do we need theology? Why do we need to know who God is? Isn't philosophy enough? Can't we just know who we are to understand the best life that we could possibly live? And Aquinas would say, no, it's necessary that God would reveal himself salvifically or through salvation. That we would know who he is. And he goes from book 1 all the way through book 3 and gets to book 3 we starts talking about the life and work of Jesus and the role of the church and the administration of the sacraments. And then you go on to Martin Luther, who then really puts that to the forefront and say there's nothing that we can do within us. The only thing that we can do within us is to despair of ourselves and really put our trust in who God is. And that's where we get the idea that it's by faith alone that we're justified before God.
Yeah.
Now I'm preaching.
I know, yeah.
Okay, so
It's awesome.
with that being said, give us and when I say modern, I mean 18, 1900s, 2000s. Give us one or two theologians who are also in that context of the Christian life as we know it would not be as rich without them.
For today,
For today's time, a more modern writer.
1819s, 2000s,
Yep.
1800s. I mean, really, to go back even further, I would say Jonathan Edwards is crucial for understanding American Christianity.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's absolutely essential, especially in terms of revivalism, and against much of what is pragmatic in terms of what can we do for Christianity. It was very influential. I would say J. Gresham Machen, who 100 years ago today published Christianity and Liberalism, which J. Gresham Machen, when he envisioned what heaven was like, was men sitting in a room smoking cigars.
Oh, yeah.
That's what heaven was going to be like.
Yeah.
Now, my response to J. Gresham Machen is that there was a man who died, and he went to this room, and he went to his fellows, and he offered him the finest brandy, and they were smoking cigars, and then this angel came up to him and tapped him on the shoulder and said, "By the way, your wife's going to be here in 15 minutes." And now the man is suddenly confronted with all of his imperatives. So, J. Gresham Machen, Jonathan Edwards, oh man, so many. I would say even along to the revival stream,
Yeah.
you'd have to go with Dr. Martin Lloyd-Jones. Is very influential, and even other men like so many. You say Billy Graham. You can't talk about American Christianity today apart from Billy Graham. I'm going to ask you now to come, and he is, because he so much kind of embodies that spirit, and also a spirit of ecumenicity that I think we all long and strive for. And he was trying to tap into that in a way in which many other people in the last 200 plus years of Christianity have wanted to do. So,
Okay. I would like to add one predating our existence, our time on Earth, would be I think Charles Spurgeon.
Charles Spurgeon
Was very monumental in, and I would say the reason I've, all these other figureheads led up to people like Billy Graham, Charles Spurgeon, guys more of the last 200 years. I think Charles Spurgeon, for me, as I got into the faith, and Mark and Chad, feel free to add anybody that you've encountered that have strengthened your faith. I think for me, Charles Spurgeon was such a layman, that he was such a normal, average Joe, and to see God use him, and to see that the layman can be a theologian. Now, obviously, he was thrust into pastoralship of thousands, but in his modern life, he was just a normal, average guy.
Yeah.
So to see that, because you see guys like Martin Luther, you see guys like Aquinas, even Augustine too, later in his life, they're very scholarly, which I think strengthens our faith in the sense of things that we can't obtain through just being a layman. But guys like Charles Spurgeon and, to see just like I said, a normal average Joe be so articulate with the gospel strengthened me to say, okay, just as just an average guy living in Middle Tennessee, like I can be a theologian in my own right, of like knowing the scriptures, studying the scriptures, articulating to others what the gospel means to me and to others.
Yeah.
So I think Charles Spurgeon left a mark on my life, and Chad will chime in probably on this one. A modern theologian who goes under scrutiny sometimes would be Tim Keller. And I think articulate the modern gospel of like living in the workplace, living in a major, a city, living in a post-Christian world. But we list all these previous ones because without the forefathers of Christianity throughout the last 1,500 years, we wouldn't have the guys we have today. So I would say, for me, in today's terms, Charles Spurgeon and then Tim Keller shaped my faith drastically.
Yeah. And I would say, too, I would say Luther probably, I would say is more helpful in understanding the everyday Christian. Because what we often think about Luther is he's this heroic man who took the stand against the church, the scholarly man who taught in the classroom. But Luther himself, his whole reason he came on the forefront was because he was a pastor. And it was his pastoral context that led him to say, no, we should not be, we are miscommunicating the truths of the gospel by talking this way. Yeah. And he wrote books on can you be a soldier and be a Christian? Martin Luther said, yes, you can be a soldier. There is a need and a call to be a soldier in everyday life. He also, too, was one of the first people to write a question-and-answer catechism, maybe the first question-and-answer catechism ever, who was actually a father when he wrote it. Yeah. He understood what children mean by when they ask, what is that? Yeah. And he could say, that is ... So you look at Luther's catechism, and it opens up, a small catechism, the first question and answer is, what is the first commandment? You shall have no other gods before me. What does this mean? Answer, we should fear, love, and trust in God above all things. Children know what fear, love, and trust is. Even if they maybe can't articulate it and give you a definition for it, they know it. They know what that means. And are able to apply that to their everyday life and take that with them into adulthood. So.
Mark, Chad?
I think going back to like layman, R.C. Sproul, I think has really helped my understanding of how to read the Bible and how to apply different books to different, how to like apply that to our understanding of it. And then I've also learned a lot from John Mark Comer has helped on, which is we're about to go through this with our church. Oh yeah. Different practices that help center our lives around God, around Jesus, especially when now everyone's working more than ever. We're constantly busy. There's so many distractions. Not that there weren't distractions before, but now it's almost we're almost required to be on our phones all the time. And taking these practices like fasting and Sabbath, and recentering our lives around Christ and what He wants for us. And I think that that's been very beneficial for me. And then Tim Keller was another one with me too. I think he's a good kind of apologist to specifically like modern American culture and the complete disconnect between Christianity and Christ's values to our culture, the values that our culture, that the world kind of put in the forefront. Yep. So those have been really vital for me and has helped strengthen my faith through that. Mark, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with all you guys. You guys pretty much named everyone. I think growing up I hate reading, so a lot of these people I haven't read a lot of their stuff, but it's been a recent endeavor to get into it more because I always have like this desire to know things, but like putting that work's hard. But yeah, I mean, all the people you mentioned really, I think Yeah. I can't name anyone right now.
I'll say something that John Montgomery does well is he takes these ancient ideas, Sabbath, praying, and he makes them consumable to the modern mind because our minds have been so transformed by the world that we live in,
been trained
to a certain extent, and then he helps take us back to the the monastic hermit idea that so many forefathers lived by. So
I will say I had no idea who he was until I met my wife, and she was a big fan of him. When we lived back in California, she drove up to Oregon by herself like 15 hours just to visit the church, and it ended up being his last day there at the church. She had no idea. Yeah, it was his last Sunday, so she got to see him there. And she told me about his book called Loveology, and I listened on audio while I was working at Whole Foods, and it was really good. And so from there, I started listening to a lot of his stuff, and yeah, I think it's great. So.